All right, everybody. It looks like we've got a good number of participants on, so we'll go ahead and get started. As I mentioned earlier, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. I'll be monitoring that for Richard, and we are going to be recording this presentation. So with that, if there are no questions, I will go ahead and pass it over to Richard to jump into the content.
I guess it helps if I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now, Angie?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being a part of our answer hour today. We're going to use this time that we have together to go through some of our business readiness plans as we get closer and closer to November 2nd and the rollout of the new campus system. Today, we have information and updates that we want to share. If I can here. There we go. First, we want to just give some general updates about what's going on at the Department of Labor and Industry, review some reminders, information that's gone out over the course of the past couple of weeks. Just use this as an opportunity to make sure that everyone is aware of some of the things that we've been speaking to, and then we'll get into more details around what we've heard from you in terms of your feedback, and then our strategies and plans as we move forward into the end of September and October, leading up to go live. As Angie mentioned at the outset, if you have questions, please type those into our chat box. That way we can record the information. We'll have it there. We can also respond in the chat, and Angie will be monitoring that. So whatever questions you have, she'll make sure that we address those either in the chat, or I can give an oral download as well. All right. So with that, let's briefly do some updates about what's happening at the agency. First of all, just as for those of you who maybe did not see the announcement that went out, we do have our help desk that is up at DLI. This was something that our prior commissioner, Commissioner Leppink, and current commissioner, Commissioner Robertson, were very interested in getting up and running. And so we're happy to say that that is up. It's being staffed and it's working very well. We have people at our 443 facility who are answering phone calls in real time. So if you have an issue, you can interact with a live person. The help desk is designed to cover multiple topics, not just campus related inquiries. So if you, whatever questions you might have, be it about a filing, be it about, just a general workers' comp question, the help desk is there to provide assistance. And you can contact the help desk either via phone, you see the phone number listed there, or email at the email address that's provided. So we're excited about that. We're pleased that it's been working well. We've had good partnership across the agency to get this up and working, and we're excited about being able to leverage this as we move forward with our plans for campus. In the past few days, the department has also released the Workers' Compensation System Report. This is an overview document that describes the current status and overall direction of the system. Certainly, it speaks to some recent developments, things that are happening at a macro and micro level. This information is available online. You can find it on the DLI website, and you can also order it if you make an email request to our research and statistics group at the email address provided. So that information is there for your use as needed. And then finally, just wanted to remind people that we do have video that's available regarding worker protections during the COVID pandemic. This video provides general information, and it's an overview of the rights and protections that are afforded workers, along with key contact information. And you can find this on our DLI YouTube page. And the video has also been translated into other languages for non-English speakers. So we're excited about that. Thanks to our communications team for getting that out. And that is a resource that we want to make sure that everyone is aware of and can take advantage of. Next, I wanted to briefly get into some reminders about information that we've been sending out recently via our newsletters. This is just reminders of things that we hear about fairly frequently, and we just want to make sure that this information doesn't get lost as we put so much of our attention and efforts into getting ready for November 2nd. First of all, just a reminder to everyone that we're still moving forward. We have two systems and two requirements for where documents are filed, separate requirements, I should say, excuse me, within the two systems for where a document should be filed. So the Office of Administrative Hearings still maintains their specific jurisdiction and their requirements over things that need to be filed there, so certain forms and whatnot. And then similarly at the Department of Labor and Industry, we will continue to have documents that need to be filed with us. I believe that later today, many of you people in the legal space should be getting an update from our friends at the Office of Administrative Hearings with an update about where NOIDs will be filed, so look out for that. But we just want to make sure that people are reminded that nothing's changing. The expectation is that where documents need to be filed, whether it be at OAH or at DLI, in C-TRAC, in campus post November 2nd, and in our current system now, that will continue, and that's not changing. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out and we'll provide guidance. But this information is available, and we're here to assist anyone who has any questions about where certain things need to be filed. In a similar vein, wanted to also give a brief reminder about what we're doing with our scheduling between now and November 2nd. At DLI, we're continuing to ask our partners in the legal space to forward their unavailability, those schedule details to us by email. We are manually ensuring that information is captured. OAH is currently not reviewing attorney availability prior to scheduling, but if anyone does have a conflict, then a motion can be filed to request rescheduling. After campus launches, the primary directive to people in the legal space is that we want attorneys to enter their unavailability time directly into campus. We will continue to have the two separate systems, C-TRAC and campus, along with separate calendars, but both DLI staff and OAH staff will leverage the information that's available in campus when we're scheduling proceedings. And OAH in particular will be reviewing that in an effort to reduce double booking and the need for continuance requests. But first and foremost, we just want people to make sure that they know that this system will work best if schedules are kept up to date and the unavailability, that unavailable time, is entered directly into campus once it's up and running. So we ask for your help with that to assist with scheduling. And then finally, an announcement went out last Friday in our weekly newsletter, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to let people know that we are putting a moratorium on new conferences and mediations to be scheduled between October 26th and November 6th. If you have an event, a mediation, a conference that's currently scheduled, it will take place as scheduled. However, we will not be setting anything new. So no new conferences during those 2 weeks, the weeks of October 26th and the week of November 2nd, up to and through November 6th. We ask that you would continue to share your unavailable time directly with DLI by sending that information to us by email. And we will work to do what we can to ensure that mediations and conferences are scheduled at times that work for all parties. But we wanted to get this information out sooner rather than later so that people know what our plans are and we can adjust accordingly and work with you to make sure that everything is taken care of expeditiously as possible. Okay. Now, with that, let's talk a little bit. Thank you, Angie, for that update about the email address for availability. Now, let's talk a little bit about what we've heard and feedback and our next steps as we move forward with our plans for business readiness and all the things that are going into getting ready for November 2nd. So first, we wanted to acknowledge, thank everyone who's provided us with their feedback, whether it be emails we've gotten, phone calls, comments in forums like this, what have you. This is sort of an overview of the feedback that we've gotten from our partners who work in law firms and the legal space around campus and what we can do to assist and make sure that you're ready for November 2nd. So there have been a number of comments and inquiries that we've received around specific training for law firms, and we'll come back to that in a bit. There's also been a healthy amount of discussion and dialogue asking for more guidance and hands-on training as it relates to group management and permissions. People have told us that they're looking for just fundamentally as many opportunities as possible, more opportunities for that hands-on utilization of campus so that they can develop a comfort and more familiarity with it and do additional navigation of the system. And then last but certainly not least, people have told us that while there are some campus training materials available online, they think it would be great if there were things like screenshots or some videos that could be leveraged in real time to help navigate the system and just make sure that you're trending in the right direction, in a positive direction while you're using the system, especially at the outset. So these are just sort of the big takeaways, the big buckets, if you will, that we've heard to this point. And we've heard you, and we're going to talk a little bit about our plans to respond to some of the things that we've heard as we move forward.
Richard, one additional thing that I just wanted to add to that list.
Go
So
for it.
those are all really great things that you pointed out. But just so you all are aware, we will continue doing demos with these answer hours in the future as well. So we will not be doing one today, but just so you all are aware, in addition to those things that are on that list, we will be incorporating some live demos into these answer hours moving forward.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Angie. So you can see here, this is our commitment to our change strategy, our organizational change strategy as we prepare for go live in early November. And you can see here that there's a listing of what it is that we've committed to doing in an effort to make sure that our external stakeholders are ready to ensure successful transition when campus launches. So included in that is more engagement through the weekly communications, emails that go out each Friday afternoon with updates and just general news as it relates to campus or DLI and what it is that we're working on at that time. A commitment for retraining, strategic retraining to fill in some of the gaps that we heard a lot of feedback on previously. As Angie mentioned, demo opportunities, and yes, we'll talk a little bit more about what's in the works for October. But we certainly know that campus will require more demonstration. It will require an opportunity for people to get a feel for it, to see it work, and we absolutely want to take advantage of this time that we have on everyone's calendar to do that during the month of October. And then finally, some things that we've committed to doing to make sure that our partners in the insurer and trading partner space have an opportunity to do some additional testing. So on the back end of that, when we talk about exit criteria, again, these are some of the things that we're holding ourselves accountable for. It means that we are engaging with the modernization program team weekly through email communications. We're meeting internally with change leaders to make sure that we are providing updates, around campus, and we're taking advantage of that time to increase our overall campus knowledge, address questions about the processes and the policy changes that will take place as a result of implementation, making sure that people are receiving training and support across the spectrum, retraining where appropriate, and then certainly providing interim and final business readiness updates to our leadership here at the agency. So this is just a comprehensive list of the things, the criteria that are being used to make sure that we are doing what needs to be done in order to get ready for November 2nd. So in particular, when we talk about training, this goes to the heart of what Angie alluded to. So leading to November 2nd, we've identified the month of October as our time period for a ramp up of training for external stakeholders. We'll talk a little bit more in a second about the calendar and what that looks like, but we absolutely recognize that we want to give people more opportunities than they've had to date to get a feel for the system, ask questions, see the system work, and just get a better feel for how campus will hopefully make things more efficient for all parties involved. That includes some live training sessions with some self-paced training using recorded sessions that would be available. In particular, one of the things that we've heard a great deal about was on group management. And so I believe that as part of our email communications that have gone out, we've requested that people update or provide, excuse me, an update to their status if they're a group admin so that we can provide group management training for those individuals. So this very much goes to the heart of one of the big things that we heard in terms of the feedback and the key themes to date. Additionally, we're in the process of developing FAQ documents and reference guides that would be utilized to, again, fill in some of the training gaps. We want to make sure that people have information at their disposal while they're using the system so that they can refer to it in real time. I would also remind everyone, again, that if you go to the DLI homepage, you can find on our campus training page a technical manual. It's lengthy, but it does cover a great many of the scenarios and the issues that you can expect when you're navigating the system. So please feel free to go ahead and find that, download it, and peruse it and begin getting ready for it. Thank you. And there's the link that Angie just provided in the chat box. And then last but certainly not least, we again recognize that while we do have partners who are looking for, firm specific training or us to come and deliver something, what I would consider to be a little bit more ad hoc or a one-off. We are stretched here at DLI, especially when we have a telework environment like we're in right now, or a remote work environment with a limited number of trainers and only so many hours during the day. So what we're hoping to do is maximize the time that we have with events that are already on the schedule, like these answer hours. And so as we move into October, we have answer hours scheduled for October 6th, the 13th, and the 20th. And during these dedicated sessions, we will use that time together to do demos and provide additional training so that we can have an interactive space for everyone to see campus and get questions asked and answered in real time about the system. We think that this is probably the most effective and efficient way to maximize our time together. And quite frankly, with a limited number of trainers available, we're not going to be able to fit everyone into our schedule. So if we can take advantage of the time that's on the calendar already during these answer hours, we're certainly looking forward to do that. What I would say is look for our list, if you will, our agenda as we move forward into October. We'll lay that out so that you can plan each week and have a feel for what it is that's going to be covered. But we'll be definitely covering things, the fundamental things that you need to know in order to, when November 2nd rolls around, log in and begin the process of using the system for the bulk of the work that we anticipate you're going to need within campus. All right.
So Richard, just to jump in really quickly as well, you covered a lot of really great information there. As Richard mentioned, with those live demos, we'll obviously be incorporating those into these training sessions. And he also mentioned just with those specific trainings that some people have requested, I know a lot of that is just in response to wanting to see some specific processes. So if there are any specific processes that you are having questions on that you would like us to focus in on those demos, if we're seeing a lot of people asking for the same thing, we can certainly make sure that we're covering those things that you all are getting to see that functionality in advance of the trainings. We can cover it in these answer hours. And then if it's something where we really are just getting a lot of questions, we can also look into creating some quick reference videos to add to our website, just for those specific processes that maybe once you see them the first time, or even after you've seen them a couple times, you just think, still don't really understand how this works. If you're seeing anything like that, please feel free to send that our way. I just put an email address in the chat where you can send any questions, or if you have questions about group management, you want to check and make sure your group is set up correctly, or even just some suggestions for training or live demos, please feel free to direct those to that email address, and I'll make sure that Richard gets a copy of those.
Great. Thank you for that, Angie. Yes, at the end of the day, our ability to address your concerns and meet your needs with training, it's incumbent upon you to communicate with us. So if there are specific things you'd like to see covered, let us know, and we will certainly do everything that we can to tailor trainings or make sure that that topic is covered as we move forward. So please interact with us, whether it be in the chat function here today. If you think of something, at 1:30 this afternoon, send us an email, give us a call, but just let us know what it is that you're hoping to see covered or need to see covered between now and November 2nd, and we will do what we can to respond accordingly. Thanks, Angie. The one thing I would mention here that's not covered on the slide, and we're still working through this, we are actively working with external partners, some of our partner not firms but organizations, to see if we might be able to do something through them. So stay tuned for more information with that. I hope to have something either in a newsletter or Gov delivery message where we can provide some additional details here in the next several days. But we absolutely want to make sure that we're taking advantage of existing relationships and singular points of entry so that we're driving as many people to one space, one point in time as possible, again, so that we can avoid having to do a series of one-offs, just because there's only so many hours in the day and there are only so many bodies that we can put toward these training efforts. But stay tuned for some partnership updates with organizations here that we are hoping will be able to help coordinate some training opportunities in the weeks ahead. If you look at the calendar here, this flow chart, you can see a breakdown of some of the different things that we have outlined. Obviously, this chart here, it looks or it starts in August when we initially made the decision to push out our start date from August 31st to November 2nd. I can assure you that just because we've extended the date by roughly 60 days, the work has continued. We've been working fast and furious behind the scenes to continue to make sure that appropriate steps are taken to get ready for November 2nd. And you can see some of the listings there around the testing, stakeholder engagement, communications, and training as broken out with this plan. In particular, if you look here at this calendar, you can see some of the change management activities. Again, throughout the month of September internally, there have been a number of things taking place, testing within DLI, with our testing group, with our leaders internally, to make sure that we're tracking and that we're incorporating feedback and issues as they get captured, so that we're doing everything possible to, again, make sure that the rollout on November 2nd is as smooth as possible. And part and parcel of that, as you also see listed there, including the day's activities, we do have these answer hours and feedback sessions built in into this process so that we're continuing to capture feedback, listening to you, making sure that your issues and concerns are not just being captured, but being addressed in an efficient and effective manner. As we now look into October, you can see a little bit more information included here, specifically around training. This is our prime time to get kicked off these training efforts, and this would complement the things that you see listed here for the various answer hours. Our law firm answer hours, again, are the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th, along with other groups that are identified. So you can see here that this very much covers all of the time between now as we get closer to November 2nd. Additional communication, whether it be in the form of email updates or training opportunities, are contemplated with our planned calendar activities. Angie, was there something that came up in the chat?
Yeah, so there was just a question about when group administrators would receive some additional information on administrator training, and when you all would be able to set up groups and teams, and just confirmation on whether things were set up. So I think that's kind of a three-part question, so I'll just go ahead and address it, Richard, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
So as far as the survey, if you've already completed the surveys related to group administrators, we should have all of your information. If for some reason we are missing a piece of information as we're parsing through all of it, we'll reach out to you and ask just for confirmation of that information. If you're not sure if you have completed that survey, or you just want to double check and make sure that we've got your firm or your organization on record, please feel free to just send a request to that WCMP email box that we referenced earlier, and we can certainly check and see what we've got on record for your firm. As far as credentials and the ability to add users to your groups, so the credentials, you will likely receive that information in October as we get closer to go live, just because we need to make sure that we can figure everything correctly on our end, and that it's all good to go from a go live perspective. So expect to get that much closer to go live. As far as adding additional users, that is something that will be available at go live. I believe Brad has addressed this a few times in some of the previous calls, but unfortunately, just with working in this virtual environment and all of the kind of the security risks associated with exposing a system that isn't live yet to the public, we just aren't able to accommodate we're unable to accommodate the request to get in there early and start adding people to those groups. But we will be providing training for people who are designated as group administrators by your organization. Keep an eye out. I would assume that we'll be sending some additional information on when that will be scheduled within the next couple weeks. So if you are a group administrator, or if you know a group administrator from your company, definitely tell them to keep an eye out for that training opportunity. We'll be going through the ins and outs of how to invite people to groups, how to add people to groups, all that good stuff. And we'll be recording it just so it's available for you all to view as we get closer to go live.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Angie. Much appreciated. All right. Let me back in here. Okay. Excuse me. Last but not least, you can see here some of the things that are contemplated as we get ready for November 2nd. We do have some events slated for that last week, the week of October 26th, with kickoff events and launch events for internal staff and also for our external partners, and then go live on November 2nd. Even after 2nd, we're still committing to updates, weekly communication, with you to make sure that, if there are questions or issues, you can still get information and make sure that there's a forum to have your questions asked and answered. And as I said at the outset, the help desk, we're using this time to iron out our processes internally, but we're excited about having the help desk available to us to triage some of the concerns up front that maybe you'll have, and you can have a chance to interact with the real person when November 2nd comes, if you do have questions about campus. So that will be present. All right. So with that, again, it can be a healthy amount of information to digest in a short amount of time. But if there's a key here, I would say, kind of in the spirit of what Angie has been providing in the chat. At any time you have questions, reach out, contact us, let us know what's on your mind. Let us know what concerns you're having. If there are issues that your staff or you personally are anticipating in advance of go live, let us know, and we can certainly work with you. But our hope is that you see this as not just a DLI system, but that it's your system and that you'll take ownership of it. And in doing so, you'll feel good about it, hold us accountable for this, and also make sure that it's something that works well for you and the injured workers here in the state of Minnesota. Any other questions that have come through, Angie, in the chat, or we should just open it up for anyone if they have questions at this time?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else in the chat, but what we can do is we can kind of hang out for a couple minutes here. Richard and I can kind of hang out on the line just for a little bit to see if any questions do pop up. Otherwise, I think we can give you all some time back in your day. If you don't have any particular questions, you can feel free to sign off at this point. Go ahead just one more time and put those few resources that I had covered in the chat again, just in case anybody needs those links as well.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I guess the one thing I'll just mention here, we got a little dead air. Those people who maybe are not getting the weekly updates, you should look to, there you go, sign up to be a part of our email list to make sure that you're getting those weekly updates. There's a lot of good information there, both for DLI generally, and then specific to certainly campus and some of the different topics that we covered before, like what needs to be filed where, scheduling procedures, updates around training, et cetera, updates around these answer hours. We want to make sure that everyone is getting the latest and greatest. And the best way to do that is to get signed up for those Gov Delivery email updates that come from DLI.
Thanks, Richard.
Angie,
I did
get a question.
Yeah, I just get one question in the chat just about group administrators. So if you would like to add an additional group administrator, please just send an email to that dli.wcmp@state.mn.us and specify the organization that you are working with. And then I can check and see we can check and see who we have listed for your organization and add somebody else if needed. So please just send any of those to that email address, and I'll make sure that all the appropriate people get looped in. And if there are just any other questions in general, anything like that, that's kind of our go-to mailbox at this point. It will be phased out after go live, so just so you all are aware, we'll definitely make you all aware of kind of the process for where to direct that information post go live. But in the meantime, please feel free to continue sending things to that email address. I think with that, it looks like we don't have anything else in the chat. I think we'll probably go ahead and end for today unless there's anything else you need to cover, Richard.
Nope, I think we've covered it all for today, and my water is pretty much at its end, so I think that's a good telltale sign for us to bring it to a close.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for taking the time to join us today. And as I mentioned, just any questions or comments, concerns, anything, please feel free to send those to that email. I'll make sure that Richard is looped in on any of those as well. And we will get you all some answers to any of those questions as soon as possible. So, and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Angie.